Charles Darwin. Okay.
Yep. Okay. Hello, everyone. Today I will be talking about Charles Darwin, like uh, Pastor Lenny said. I know some of you are thinking, who in the world is this person? I've never heard of such an obscure name. I'm just kidding. All of you probably know him because he created the theory of evolution by natural selection, which is unfortunately being taught at schools instead of creationism. All right, first of all, we're going to talk about his origin story. I'm just going to briefly skim over this because even though it's big and complicated, it's largely pretty boring, in my opinion. But on February 12th, 1809, he was born to Robert Waring Darwin and Susanna Wedgwood. 8 years after his birth, his mother passed away, probably because of some stomach ulcer or cancer. At an early age, he showed interest in chemistry and learned a lot about human psychology from his father. Later in life, he went to study at Edinburgh University and learned a lot from this man called John Edmonstone, who was a freed slave and helped Darwin differentiate flora and fauna and rock types. Um, Okay, fast forward a few years. When Darwin was 22, he set sail on the HMS Beagle. Okay, next slide. This slideshow is just going to be pictures since I didn't do much PowerPoint, not PowerPoint, bullet points for this presentation. Okay, the HMS Beagle to circumnavigate the world. After he left Peru, he landed on the Galapagos Islands. And when you think of the Galapagos Islands, you think of turtles. And everyone loves turtles, so I dedicated the next few slides to them. All right, at this point, he noted the different beak shapes of the different birds in the four islands and labeled them, which is something he used later to develop the evolution theory. After a while, Darwin and John Gould, a ornithologist, found that the Galapagos birds were all ground finches, but differently adapted and diagnosed as different species. Darwin, after a bit of examination of the collection, adopted transmutation or evolution, which is what it's called now. This resulted in a bit of a conflict, as you might expect, with the religious communities. Just a sec. Okay. With the nearby religious communities, and was declared a heresy. Okay, I'll cut to the chase. He created the theory in 1837 to 1839 without announcing it publicly, then published the book On the Origin of Species 20 years later that included all the speculations and discoveries that he had on that island and other areas. This was extremely appealing to many new scientists who wanted non-religious science and spread rapidly throughout the world. I wish I'd added a bit more to this, but it's been a really chaotic week, so I'm just going to conclude this.
Okay. Is it?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Christopher. Right. So let me share my PowerPoint now.
Oh, I forgot the last few pictures. This is the birds that he looked at, and this is the origin of species. Yep.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Peace, do you have a announcement you want to do now before into the class?
Yes, please. If you have not renamed yourself, please rename yourself according to the format. And also note that spaces are very important when you rename yourself. Make sure you put spaces between the dashes. It helps with Zoom's system. So rename yourself with your name, your state, and your code. Super important. Thank you, guys.
Okay. Always so appreciate Peace and her sister, whole entire family helping me out. Let me see, I can get this right. Oh, disappeared. Okay, do you see the full screen?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right. So week 2, I hope you're following the schedule to read the chapters, all right? We're going to cover chapter 5 to 10 today. If your first time, again, look into that. If you want to get a certificate, I hope you follow through this along, and you won't all put it in the end, do it. There's still a few spots if you want to sign up. Okay, you can put in the chat, or best way is just copy and do it through the Telegram. Okay, we always want to ask these 4 questions, 4 basic questions of worldview. Who can answer me? What's the first one?
Creation, where did we come from and who are we?
Okay, how about number 2?
Fall, what has gone wrong with the world?
Okay, very good. Number 3, Brendan, do you remember? Number 3.
I forgot.
Christopher.
Redemption. What can we do to fix it?
Okay, Johnson, what's the last one?
Restoration, how now shall we live?
Okay, all right. Don't forget. Then ideas have what?
Consequences.
Very good, very good. Okay, so this lesson have a lot of information. Okay, always see how far we can go. Okay, may not cover everything I want to say, but this is my favorite subject. I hope you get to read chapter 5. This is very, very fascinating story. Okay, the reason why I like this Chuck Colson's book is he insert these stories and really make his point very, very vivid. So I hope you get to read the story that you understand what is his point. So chapter 5, he talked about a father taking his teenager daughter to Disney. Wow, everybody heading to Disney now, right? They are not just my ideas that Katie had argued that they are Disney World. They are what I learned in school. They are what everybody believes. It's just that I don't want to be so different, and I don't have to be. What are they arguing about? What are they arguing about? For those who had read this book, or what do you think? You want to guess? Anybody? Oh, they're arguing about creation and evolution. Don't think about you. I don't know how much the price you pay to get into Disney World now. I think it's probably over $100, right? You go in there, you're going to learn. You're going to just having a good time, taking all this ride, but you're also going to have a lot of opportunities to learn about evolution. When the film you watch, the theme park they design is all filled with the idea of evolution. And so this story talk about Katie is just like everybody going to church, baptized when young, but when she started going to school, she stripped away from Bible, from church. Why? Because the evolution, the view, and so everybody believe that way, and she doesn't want to be different. So that's a problem. Bible said the fool said in his heart there is no God. But as soon as a child step into the school, that's what they learn. There is no God, right? So Romans chapter 1, verse 19. I'm going to save time. This is always a good reference for you to know when you talk about creations, that God said there's no excuse. When you look at the sky, when you look at a human being, look at the baby, that's no excuse that that's God. But people say no, because they did not see fit to acknowledge God. Okay, this is the point. It's not like they don't know. It's just they don't want to acknowledge God. All right. So this is naturalism. John G, can you read this for us?
Naturalism. Naturalistic scientists try to give the impression that they are fair-minded and objective, implying that religious people are subjective and biased in favor of their personal beliefs. but this is a ruse. For naturalism is as much a philosophy, a worldview, a personal belief system as any religion is.
Okay, this is set the tone of Chuck Colson's book. Okay, everything is idea, everything is worldview, right? Don't let people say, oh, that is just religion and we are science. Okay, so let's look into this. Bible said in the beginning, God had created heaven and earth, right? But on the other hand, in the beginning, the cosmos. This is a Carl Sagan. Probably you won't know, and actually is kind of earlier generation, but he has great influence in America. He has this episode like on TV. The cosmos is all that is, or ever was, or ever will be. Isn't it amazing? The words is like the Bible, right? And he said, we are in the most profound sense, children of the cosmos. Wow. So this tells you everything is a religious view. And in his mind, how can be saved? How to be saved? The solutions may well come from the more advanced civilizations somewhere out there descending to Earth to save us. You see why the scientists that work so hard want to explore outer space to see is any living creature there? They are looking for salvation. Or another way, actually, they're looking for a proof for evolution. You see, they always want to find water, right? Because they believe there's water there, they're gonna have evolve to just evolution. So they always going to find it. So you need to know that the motivation behind is to prove evolution is correct. And this idea penetrates to every area, especially young age. Look at this, Bill Stan's book. Who has read this book? Or you may have this in your home, right?
I remember reading this in kindergarten.
Ah, you see that? Do you read this particular this page?
I think I do.
Wow. Yeah. You see that? That's the world is so smart. They want to put this idea to as young as possible, right? It was all that is, was, and ever will be. So as you be entertained, you will be indoctrinated. So again, it is worldview by worldview, all right? Okay, let me ask you, all the evidence, nature, animal, people, and fossil are only in the where? Present, future, or past? Assume I'm holding the fossil. So this object exists only in what? In the present, future, or past? Hey, try to guess. No penalty.
Present.
Present, yes. Okay. It's all in the present, but just see what type of eyeglasses you wear to interpret it. Okay. All right. Because we live in the present, the evidence of whatever object, fossil is present, but just how you interpret it and to this origin. So we're going to first look at the secular view. Okay, from this study, we always want to look at this. Basically, just secular view didn't know God, and that's God's view, Bible. Okay, so that helps us to go through this. We all know evolution very well, but you see here, I believe that all the life on Earth evolved over millions of years from a few common ancestors, right? You all know this very well. But in the book, Chuck Colson said, today, the historians recognize that Darwin was first committed to the philosophy of naturalism and then sought to a theory to justify it scientifically. So everybody has some type of assumption first. It's not like they go out to do in blank, right? If you do this scientific research, you always assume your your formula is this way, you get the idea, and you try to prove it is right, right? So it's not like you start from vacuum and say, oh, we found out evolution. No, it has this pre-assumption first, and I don't need to repeat this. So there are two types of evolution. One's macro, one's micro. Can someone tell me the difference? How about, I need you to turn on the video. Okay. Oh, I need, Eric, can you see what's the difference between these two, macro and micro?
No.
The one on the left,
Yeah.
depicts many species evolving from a pile of cells. The other one shows how a particular group is similar.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. So one is called macro, one's called micro. And we observe micro evolution happen, right? But it's still in the same species. But the evolutionists think, oh, you can, since they see the micro evolution, so they have a big jump of faith and said, oh, one kind can evolve to another kind. I have a relative, he is not Christian. He got a PhD from Harvard University, and he is a teacher. Now he he's a professor, teacher to be a science teacher, okay? And every year they came to, I met him at the Thanksgiving dinner. So one year I dared to talk to him about this. And to my surprise, he doesn't believe in my macro evolution. Right? He said, no. He said that micro evolution exists, but he didn't believe on the macro. So just let you know, not every scientist or whatever, they believe this thing. He's not Christian. He's a Harvard PhD and teacher to how to teach science. Wow. Okay. Let's see. So what is evolution? I just want to demonstrate this one single cell become a person. How this happened? Just review what element would make one cell become a person. Through what's the evolution's point of view? You should all know this well. Depend on what?
I suppose the cell replicates, and over millions of years, genetic
mutation, right?
Oh, sorry. Genetic mutations occur.
Yeah.
And it gradually transforms. It's so radically different that it could be considered a different species.
Okay. So normally, thank you. So normally two things, natural selection and mutation. But one more important thing, what's that? For this to happen, we need what? Need time. Lots of times, right? Isn't it? That is an idea of evolution. So time is the hero of all the evolution's theory. You cannot see it now, but through millions of years, this will happen. So, oh yeah, that would be possible. So without time, this cannot stand because nobody sees that, right? Do you see people have fish, have something walking on the street? Do you see something evolving in between? No, but but if you have millions of time, that would do it. But fortunately, computer prove that essentially is zero. You can run a computer simulation, right? So scientists try to use it and plug in the computer to simulate it. Hopefully by millions of years, billions of years, whatever, that something can happen. No. But evolution said, oh, that's possible. So let me ask you, according to evolution, how old is the universe?
Evolution doesn't answer that question. That's astrophysics.
Okay, whatever. So what's your physics? So how old is the universe?
I think not older than 10,000.
No. I'm not talking the Bible's view. Just in your textbook, in
If I remember correctly, I think 10 billion years plus.
Oh,
I'm not
okay,
sure.
something like that. Okay, 13.8 billions, all right. And the Earth about 4.5 billions years, right? So pretty long, right? And the earliest have life is about 4 billion, okay? And then human being about 2.8 million years, okay? All right. Before we into the details, we need to know two type of theory. Before evolution come up, most people believe catastrophism means that this theory that the Earth has largely been shaped by sudden, short-lived violent event, possibly worldwide in scope. So if you read the Bible, what could be this event? The worldwide violent event, what would be?
A flood?
Flood, yes. So before Charles Darwin's, most people influenced by the Bible, they believe this way, okay? But in order for evolution to be possible, this have to change. So the different theory is that uniformitarianism, so means for the past billion, million, whatever years, the Earth universe is fixed. Not big thing happen. All right. So again, ideas have a consequence. You gotta have a different assumption. So James Hutton is the one take the ideas of uniformitarianism, and he developed the age of the Earth theory. Okay, so we call him the founder of modern geology. The Earth is much older than most people thought. So you see, everything happened need to have an idea, right? And so I have a book, a very interesting title. He said, "The Man Who Found Time." All right, because this that a lot of time could be happen, and his student Charles Lair wrote a book called Principle of Geology, further expand his theory. And guess what? Charles Darwin, oh, that's okay. Lair said the goal was to free the science from Moses. So these people that have this idea in mind, they want to find some reason other than Bible, okay? They already have this in their mission. So they want to free science. And you know, Charles Darwin took this book on his journey. So one idea going to influence another idea, right? So the way to measure the age of the Earth, probably you know this. Who can explain a little bit what's carbon dating or radiometric dating? How does it work?
If I may, I think it works on the basis that all living beings they gradually absorb carbon-14, which is a radioactive isotope of carbon.
Yeah.
As they live, and when they die, they don't absorb anymore because their bodily processes have stopped. So due to radioactive decay, the amount of carbon gets less and less and less and less. And if you can calculate the half-life of carbon-14, then you know how old that organism is.
Very good. You're a very good student. Oh, can I know who are you? Because the student I couldn't see. What's your name?
Pardon?
What's your name?
Oh, David.
David. Okay, thank you. Thank you for, yeah, wow, you're a very good student. See, all right, so that's the assumption is that half decay rate never change, right? So, but I just want to use the example. All right, if you join the room and you see me peeling the apple, and you look at, oh, I took 1 minute to peel the apple, okay? And you see besides me, there's a basket of 19 apples. So guess how long I've been there to peel the apple? How long? Who wants this? Adeline? How long I've been there? Who want to guess?
Oh, sorry. What was the question?
So you come into the room, you saw me peel the apple, okay? So it took me 1 minute to peel one apple. And you see the basket next to me has 19 apples already been peeled. So how long I've been there?
19 minutes probably.
Plus that one, right? So 20 minutes, right? That's very reasonable, right? And that's the idea of carbon dating, because you assume I always take 1 minute, although you didn't see me, took me how long to peel those 19 apples, but you assume from your observation, from your present observation, you assume the point back to the past. But my question for you is, maybe when I started peeling the apple, I don't know how to do it. So it took me 2 minutes, 5 minutes, but now I'm better now. So you see, 1 minute. Or could be even I'm much quicker. Maybe I do it in 10 seconds, one apple, but I'm getting tired now. So you see my point here? It works, certain way it works, it assumes something. But the point is that, can you guarantee the assumption always right? The problem is that we cannot go back to that, okay? So let me ask you, what is missing here? Okay, look carefully, what is missing? I want you to, okay. Who say A, raise a hand. You can use that. Who said A, raise a hand. The original shapes. Anybody say A? Okay. It's, by Zoom, it's hard to see everybody. Who think B? Or who think C, or who think D? Let me see. Any? All right, how to see that? But my point is that nothing missing, because it was drawn that way. So people just try to point that, oh, that's a missing link. So you're going to find a missing link, because the question said what is missing. But you always need to think, is that really something originally missing? Or people just think that's missing link. So the problem is, do we find a missing link? All right. So nothing is missing. We need to separate operational science and this is real science. That you build a computer, you build airplane, you build any machines that we call it operational science. You can duplicate it, right? You can learn in the lab. But another one, just historical science, actually maybe not a good term for science, but just deal with the origin, the unseen past, the unobserved past events. So evolution actually fit into this, that it's just one theory try to explain what happened in the past. All right. So I want to introduce the few different view of creationism. The Bible said, oh, we Christian, we believe in creation, but actually there's many different ideas. But I want to point out is only one. Okay, we got this. The first one, literally 24 hours, 6,000 years, which is originally most people think this way before evolution. Although I know, yeah, even Augustine that he did not, quite sure, okay. But if you read the Bible literally, that's what the idea he got, okay. And rest of the views, why they developed? Because evolution. That's why they have a different way, okay. The other view, they just try to reconcile with the Bible with millions of years. All right. So the second way view is that figurative. The word 24 hours is just not really, just like a story. So it can fit the earth is 4.5, right? I know many church be teaching this way. Okay. I'm just here presenting this. I can tell you my position is the first view, 24 hours, six days, because of what Bible said. Also because other views, why they want to change? Because evolution. So if you believe in evolution, then you got to take other position, all right? So probably this is the easiest way out. They try to find a way out for God. So you just figurative it, all right? Don't take it seriously, all right? Another one is very interesting. There's a verse 1, between verse 1 and 2, that's a gap. right? So the first verse, that's already a ruling universe. That's why you see fossil many millions of years. So there's a gap here. Wow, interesting, right? Between 1 and 2, right? Okay, number 3, this even more clever. Theistic evolution. God used evolution to create. Wow. So no problem, evolution. You can take it because God used that. But the funny thing is real evolution say, no, that's our assumption is no God. But you know who take this position? Francis Collins is a very famous, he led the Human Genome Project. He is the director of NIH. He wrote this book, The Language of God, and he's promoting his idea. All right. Another one is intelligent design. Probably you heard this before, that if you walk by the beach, you see the clock, right? You will see, must be someone designed this. It won't just happen. Must be in intelligence. But the question is, who is that? They don't want to say, all right? Could be God, could be anything, right? But this just say, oh, someone designed it. This, we can learn a lot from this, right? But my point is, why don't we just learn direct from Bible, right? What does Bible said, and how can we view the world? That will be the practice throughout this class. You want to learn everything, watch the world, look at the world, your worldview from the Bible, all right? So what does Bible say? Why 6 days? Why 6 days? Someone answer me. Why God creates universe in 6 days?
That's a good question.
Yeah, so do you have any answer? Any? God decided, right? God decided in 6 days. He's God. If you were God, how long are you going to take to create heaven and earth? That's, you have authority now. But God decided this way, and then he showed it to us. I always like to use this example. For example, if I go to your home and I saw, let me see, oh, Emmanuel, I go to your home. I see your TV in the living room. I ask you, Emmanuel, why you put the TV there? Why? Why you put your TV in the living room?
Well, I'd say it's because my parents put it in there.
Okay, because this is your home, they can decide to put it there, right? All right. Just you have. Yeah.
My mom never let me to watch TV. So even though we have TV in our home, we never open it.
Great. So that's even better, right? But my point is that because God has authority, God says 6 days, your parent has authority, so he can decide where you're going to put TV or not, right? And God revealed this in the Bible, and he tells us 6 days, all right? So I'm not going through the Sunday school questions, day 1, day 2, day 3, but it's interesting, every here is an evening, morning, evening, morning. And when I was in the seminary, I purposely asked those Hebrew professors. And yeah, he told me that if you look at the Hebrew words, you won't come up millions of years because this very plainly say 24 hours a day, right? And another interesting place, and Exodus, for in 6 days the Lord had made heaven and earth. Huh? You can argue there's a millions of year or figuratively, but in the Exodus says for in 6 days God could make. So I just want to, you can argue different way. Okay, it's not like say, oh, if you have to be this 6 days to be a Christian, all right? I'm not. I know many churches, many church teaching the different way. Okay, but I just want to present what I think. I wrestle this question a lot. Okay, I try to, when I'm into seminary, I purposely ask every professor, even in my seminary, some professor doesn't take 6 days, okay? But I just want to tell you how I came to this, right? Because he also said in 6 days, and then we have a 7 days a week, right? So that's a pattern for us. How do we live? This is the most important one that persuade me that sin coming to the earth and that the result is death. So the fossil is that animal, right? That person. So if there's a million years, this fossil is millions of years, then that means before Adam and Eve already have sin, already have death. How are you going to explain this? Okay, and I know that's why gap theory comes in, but still, if we take this seriously, you see, sin coming, how do we say? And therefore, just as sin came into the world through one man and death through sin. And so the sin spread to all men because of sin. All right. So that's something for us to wrestle with. All right. Okay. So then you're going to explain, then how you explain fossil, why fossil so many years, where it happened. Again, if you believe in the carbon dating, that's how they come up with millions of years, right? But how do you from the Bible to explain this? I think that's one way to talk about is flood, right? So evolution is coming to all have this death and become Adam and Eve. But the Bible teach death is come from sin. You got to think about this, all right? Oftentimes, I find out we try to argue and reasons it's just not coming to this point. We just talk about science, or this, but I feel this is most persuasive to me because sin and death, all right? Sunday school, we always see this picture. Is it Noah's Ark like this way? Oh, you claim all this, looks cute, but this is real arcs. Okay, the Bible tells us the real size, like huge. And who have been there? Nice place for summertime to visit. Wow. I took our young people a few years ago to visit this ark in Kentucky, right? So if you understand the ark, the flood, that is something happened, water cover everything, volcano erupt, and that's why you see all the fossil everywhere, beating the death thing, burying the rock layer laid down by the water all over the earth. The Bible can explain this way, just because people don't want to take Bible, right? Grand Canyon, when you go to visit Grand Canyon, they say, oh, this takes millions of years to happen. But in 1980, a volcano erupted. In just very short time, that just people can observe this happen. Wow, that's how you're going to explain that. The volcano can suddenly just cause the earth like this. So a lot of interesting things. Dinosaur, what happened to the dinosaur? When I was young, this really bothered me a lot. I thought the dinosaur is fake, is people created, try to discredit Bible. And in the church, nobody in the church, back then, nobody talk about this. Just share the gospel. But I always say, how can this happen? So interesting. If according to evolution, like dinosaur lived between 230 million ago up to 65 million. Wow, pretty long, right? So when you hear about millions of years, that's all I learned from Cunningham. So interesting. Say, in the raise hand, say, were you there? Were you there? 25 million years ago, nobody there, right? But God was there. And that's from Book of Job. Where were you when I laid the foundation of the earth? God is challenging us. Were you there? But God was there because he laid the foundation. Did dinosaurs live with man? Look at this. That is the Indian cave. Back then, there's no camera, no selfie stuff. How did the Indian can draw that, right? Look at this. Isn't it interesting? They find this in the cave. So isn't this an indication maybe those people back then, they still see dinosaur? And in Europe, everywhere you can this legend of dragon, right? Even with Chinese, we have a dragon legend. So this is, they find that the T-Rex bone, and inside this looks like still blood tissue. If you say the 65 million years ago, why they still exist like this? So a lot of these questions. And Chinese say 恐龙 dinosaur. This word dinosaur is developed by Richard Owen in 1841. Means terrible lizard. I just went to Miami. I see a lot of the lizard. Isn't it interesting? And crocodile. It's all like, you know, but the Bible didn't have a dinosaur, right? Of course, no, because King James Bible was published in 1611. Back, you see, before there's no term as dinosaur. Probably someone already put in the chat. Book of Job talk about a lot of different animals that we don't know what's that. And Chinese translation is so funny. Behemoth, right? Look at behemoth. And Chinese translation is 河马, hippa. Isn't it interesting? I need translation. But you just look at description. I just take one. He makes his tail stiff like a cedar. You know what cedar tree? Who know what cedar tree? It's very popular in the Bible. The cedar tree is that Solomon used that to build temple. Look at this. It's very famous in Lebanon, right? And that's cedar tree. So what type of animal has tail like cedar? Is that
dinosaur?
Like, yeah, you see that? Hippo doesn't have that type of tail. So many, many years ago, my daughter did this for me. So this elephant, this is hippo. How about dinosaur? You see that? So a lot of this information I learned from AIG, Answer in Genesis. I encourage you to look into that. It's so interesting to learn and use your mind, your reason, and to see the difference. A lot to learn. Okay, I just use this class to kind of give you some idea. This is most important video we want to get. Chapter 10, I hope you go back to read this chapter. Origin determines destiny. Let me take a sip of word. Eric, can you read this for us?
Our origin determines our destiny. It tells us who we are, why we are here, and how we should order our lives together in society. Our view of origins shapes our understanding of ethics, law, education, and yes, even sexuality.
You see that origin is so important. The myth is that, oh, the science and religion deal with different realm, kind of give the church a safe zone, and then you do your own, but it's not a reality. So Stephen Jacobs said, science is about facts, while religion struggle with human moralities. You know, so kind of all evolution is science. Okay, the religion is just about how to be a good person. Sounds easy way out, but actually, look at this. That's a foundation. Why we believe in creation? Why 6 days? Because God said so. That's word of God, right? If Bible shows us God created heaven and earth in 1,000 days, okay, he's artist. He decide word of God. And if we are created by God and the whole universe is created by God, of course, then we need to follow God's way. And that's why the Bible has authority. But if you take this out in man's ideas, evolution, then we have no authority to talk about anything after all. So you can see so important is this origin. But unfortunately, in the church, we often neglect this. We just go right into the believe in Jesus. But if people don't believe in creation, why bother they need to believe in Jesus? There's nothing wrong with all this here. Because if you follow evolution, it's not just so-called science fact. It's going to influence every areas of life. And that's why we see it now, right? So foundation is being destroyed. Unfortunately, you see, we often fight on the top here. Oh, abortion, sexuality, racism. But we forget about the foundation is word of God, is creation. If creation destroys or tumbling down, no wonder we have any authority to talk to people on any issue now. No, because we say, oh, it's just a religious view. There's no room in the public square because God doesn't create anything, right? So I found the chapter is very, very helpful. You see, we need to say that evolution is also same as creation. It's just a worldview, right? And Richard Dawkins said, Darwin make it possible to be an intellectual for few atheists. You see, they make their theory sounds like intelligence, right? Darwinism won not so much because it fit the evidence, but because it provides a scientific rationale for naturalism. An honest debate between Darwinism and Christianity is not fact versus faith, but philosophy versus philosophy, worldview versus worldview. Go back to read the chapter. It really opened up my mind and my eyes. When I was young, when I learned about apologetics, people tell me, oh, if we do apologetics, don't use the Bible. Oh, sounds like very rational, right? Oh, I use reason and reason because I'm not using the Bible. You fall into the trap. Without Bible, where was our base from? All right. So we must be clear about what is at stake here. As long as Darwinism reigns in our school and elite culture, the Christian worldview will be considered as mad woman in the attic, irrational and unbelievable. That's why we can be no longer allow naturalism to treat science as a sanctuary where their personal philosophy reigns free from challenge. So we have a lot of work. When I was in seminary, I went to a conference hosted by AIG, Answer in Genesis. They are help coaching Christian want to study science, how to get their PhD, how to use a creation worldview to influence. We need a new generation of scientists to develop a model according to creationism and to show it to the world. Hey, this makes no sense, right? It's not like only Christian, if you only study science, you got to follow the evolutionary way. We need to show them there's a different way. Right? If you learn that's all, it's just an assumption, right? So, roadmap to reality. Every worldview is a proposal map of reality, a guide to navigating the world. Christianity is not merely a religion defined narrowly as personal piety and corporate worship. It is also an objective perspective on all reality and complete worldview. They really give me a lot of strength and comfort and confidence to being a Christian, right? And I really want to thank Chuck Colson to present this, and it really helped me a lot because I always feel very shaky as a Christian, grew up in church. I just don't know how to answer and deal with the world is about science. And I hope you dig into more from this perspective. And for those who you want to be study science, you can use that to glorify God, be a great scientist, but follow the biblical worldview, right? Don't be like Francis Collins. He's totally secular worldview, but just say this Christian. And even he's criticized people using the Bible as a framework, right? So these 2 questions, maybe I should post that in the chat. Let me anything before we go to the breakout room. Oh. I hope you have a good discussion and even to challenge. Okay.